Ernestine Mead. Welcome to the Writers Reading Program. This show is brought to you as a public service presentation of WPRG TV of Harold, Kentucky. Today, as my special guest, I'm very pleased to have Mr. Arthur Ogden of Somerset, Kentucky. Art, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Ernestine. I'm pleased to be here today.
Good. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Well, I've been around a while. I'm nearly 62 years old, and you know I've been around a little while if I'm that old. I was born up in Winchester, Kentucky, and that makes me a Kentucky hillbilly. So I guess I'm proud of my heritage to be born and raised in Kentucky. I was raised mostly over in Monticello, which is east of where we are now, about I guess 175 or 80 miles. And presently live at Somerset, which is not far from where I was raised. And I'm a minister of the gospel, and I preach the gospel in Somerset. I work with the Southside Church of Christ in Somerset, Kentucky, and I've been with them really more than 20 years, probably about, I haven't figured it up for a while, probably 22 or 23 years. I'm married, got 5 children, and my wife would be tickled to death if I told everybody that she has 12 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
And 12 grandchildren, rather, not great ones, but they are great. They're grandchildren, all right.
Where did you go to school?
Well, I graduated from Scottsville High School in Scottsville, Kentucky. When I was about 15 and a half, my folks moved from Monticello to Scottsville, Kentucky, and I graduated from high school there. And I went to a little college in Tampa, Florida. It's called Florida College. It was called Florida Christian College then. And they later changed the name of it to Florida College. And I went there 4 years and got what little formal education I got there. And after I left there, I started preaching and moved to Illinois and lived there for about 6 years. And moved to Florida, and then I moved to Somerset. And most of the time, I've moved away a couple of times at Somerset, but just for brief periods of time, and then moved back.
So you've been preaching for your entire life since you got out of college?
I've been preaching for 43 years.
That's a long time.
A long time, sure have. I started before I went to college. I started preaching in 1951 near Scottsville, Kentucky. And I've been preaching, of course, the first 2 or 3 years didn't preach a lot, but I preached some, and I've been preaching ever since. But after, when I was about 20, I began to preach regularly and full-time, and I've preached pretty well full-time ever since.
Well, how did you get into writing?
Well, I don't know. It's sort of a natural thing, I guess, that goes along with your studying of the scriptures and the preparations you make. There are things that impress you, and that I don't like to use the word inspired, but I think that a person is inspired in a way. I don't mean by that that a person is inspired by the Holy Spirit. I don't want to leave the wrong impression to people who might be listening to the audience. As a poet is inspired, sometimes we're inspired to write some things, and we feel like that maybe we can make a contribution in some area to understanding of a particular scripture or a particular subject, and so you just sort of try to put it on paper. You know that yourself.
Yeah, I
writing
understand.
poetry, and you do a good job too, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I read some of your poems, and they're very good.
Thank you. Well, so what kind of writing do you do? Is everything you write religious?
Yes, yeah, for the most part. I deal with Bible subjects, some things that I think maybe that need some clarification. A lot of times people look at what the Bible teaches as being very deep, and one of the reasons for that is most of us use antiquated translations, and the antiquated translations use words that are not current today, and so it needs some explaining. Some of the more modern translations are a little bit more helpful. But nonetheless, it's needful from time to time to try to clarify some things.
Well, different writers, I think, have different reasons for writing. So what you're saying is the reason you write mostly is to help people understand.
That's right. That's right. I don't know what all I've written on over the years, but there are a lot of biblical issues and topics that are difficult for people, and I have tried to simplify them so that people can read it and understand a little bit better what the Scripture's saying in those particular points, and try to back it up by the Scriptures so that there can be no question about what's been written.
Do you write articles, tracts, books? What kind of things do you do?
Well, I've done a little bit of all of that, I guess. Primarily articles, and I have written 3 books. I have a commentary on the book of Revelation. Of course, that's a difficult book. And a number of years ago, I did a study on the book of Revelation and thought that the results of the study were sufficient to give a little more time and study to it, and presented some of the material that we had covered in the studies that I had done to some audiences, and the audiences suggested that it needed to be in print. And I hadn't thought about doing that before. And after giving that some thought prayerfully, decided that I would take the material that I had and put it in manuscript form and test it to see whether or not it was worth printing. And as I've told you personally, I didn't want to have to eat a bunch of books.
Yeah.
So I tested it to see if the material was worthy of acceptance. And so after finding that it was, I think I sent out 10 manuscripts, and each of those wrote me back and said they thought the material was well worth printing. So we took the steps that were necessary to see that they were printed.
Well, that was pretty good acceptance.
Yes, yeah, we were. I was really wasn't expecting that good of acceptance, but it was, and it was difficult to get everything arranged to get it around to where it could be in print. It took me just about 6 months to do the writing, but that's pretty rough makeup on that. So after doing the writing and getting some help from some other people to help clean it up and to get the sentences like they ought to be, and to get the language where it is really simplified and understood and people understand what you're writing about, took about another 4 or 5 years. So it took a long time, to get it ready where it was ready to be published.
6 months seems like a short time to write a commentary on Revelation.
Well, and it's a rather long commentary too. It's about, I believe there's about 475 pages of it altogether. And it is rather long, but I think it's like anything that you really get interested in and that you have done a lot of study on. It comes to you rather quickly, and you're able to put your thoughts down rather quickly. I would not have, if I had known, I guess, how easy it would go. When I started the writing, I'm sure that I wouldn't have given a second thought about doing it, because it came very easy.
Well, that's good. You must have a lot of knowledge about the book of Revelation to be able to do that.
Well, I'd let others set judgment upon that, but at least it became a labor of love, because it's been a very difficult book for people through the years, and a lot of people have just refused to study it because it is difficult. And my intentions were to try to simplify it and to make an approach on it that was different. For the most part, what people hear about this last book of the Bible is that which comes from the minds of speculators who want to speculate upon this and that and what have you, and give their opinion about what they are saying. My approach has been entirely different. I have approached the book of Revelation from the standpoint of the Bible. What does the Bible say about it? I have heard it said, and you probably have too, that the best commentary on the Bible is the Bible itself. Mm-hmm. And I felt like, and this is the main thing that motivated me to write the book, was that so many people were depending upon what others said, or some outside sources, that it was time for somebody to write a book that let the Bible interpret the book of Revelation, and that's what I had sought to do. And it's a very interesting study. believe it or not, the answers are in the Bible. It's not somewhere else.
Well, I have tried to study the book of Revelation on my own, and it was so difficult for me that I just kind of gave up. And actually, I've been looking for something to help me, so I'm glad I found out about your book. And I'm sure probably a lot of people who are watching the show will be interested in getting a copy. But unfortunately, we don't have one here today, do we?
Unfortunately, we don't. I'll apologize for that. I thought I had several with me, but when I checked, I had taken them out of my vehicle and did not bring them. The only thing I was able to bring, I had with me, was a copy of a workbook, which is another one of the books that I have written. This is to be used in studying the book. That is, for the person who is studying the book and needs a little help along the way. This is a mini commentary, really, and it has homework to do in it that helps with understanding the things that are in the book itself. The commentary itself is a rather large edition, as I pointed out, with a hardback, about 475 pages, and it has a dust cover. It has a beautiful sort of a reddish burgundy color on it with gold lettering. A very attractive book. But the main part about the book that is good is the material that is in it, and it's been well received. I have not had one negative comment about the book itself. There are people who say, well, I don't agree with the approach that you've taken, but I've not had any negative comments about the book itself. And maybe they're making negative comments to somebody else, but not to me.
That's what I said about my book of poetry. I said, I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about it, but I'm like you, I got to wonder, maybe they're saying something bad behind my back.
Well, I'd rather have it that way.
Me too. At least you get the encouragement from people who talk to you.
Yes.
It makes you want to write something else. So this book, this is a workbook that goes along
Yes.
with the book.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think possibly you could read something from that that would kind of let the viewers know what the book is about?
Well, you told me that this would be good, and so I did pick out a little bit. Let me just start with the first page of this workbook, and this is a condensed version of what's really in the commentary, but I think it is sufficient to get some idea. I'll just read the first 2 or 3 short paragraphs here on this page, and then, if it's all right, I'll read another place or two.
Okay.
Beginning in this book, I start out by saying, compared to other books of the Bible, the book of Revelation is the most difficult to comprehend and confusing to study. It is the most misunderstood, misapplied, speculated upon, and talked about of all Bible books. Yet it is the most beautiful in thought, challenging in nature, comprehensive in scope, prophetic in design, and comforting in purpose of all the books of the Bible. It is a masterpiece in literature. It challenges our intellects, that is, our ability to reason, judge, comprehend, and understand. Our imagination, that is, our ability to formulate images or ideas corresponding to those revealed. Our knowledge and understanding of the truth revealed in our Bibles. Our will to learn, our patience, and our endurance. The Revelation unites Old Testament prophecies of victory and desolation with similar New Testament prophecies and shows them as impending historical events shortly to come to pass. History shows their fulfillment. This book breathes a message directly from the throne of God of His faithfulness to avenge Himself and His people of their enemies, giving comfort and consolation to those oppressed.
Well, you have a way with words.
Well, those are some words, all right, and I think that they pretty well sum up the facts about the book of Revelation itself. I might read another paragraph here, if it's all right.
Okay.
The latter part of this page, the book of Revelation is often called the Apocalypse. This is because the first word of the book in the Greek language is apocalypsis, and translated in our versions as the Revelation. The word means an uncovering or unveiling, and is used about a dozen times in the New Testament. Related words are used another 30 times. A revelation is an uncovering or unveiling of historical events shortly to come to pass, Revelation 1 and 1. The Apocalypse contains past, present, and future events, Revelation 1:19. Some of the events foretold were expected immediately, while some have not been fulfilled to this day. The book of Revelation is a book of warning and comfort. It warned 5 of the 7 churches to repent, and it warned those who had the mark of the beast of coming wrath, Revelation 14:9 through 11. Indeed, all of the wicked of the earth are warned, Revelation 21 and 8. On the other hand, the saints are promised blessings abundantly if they keep God's commandments, overcome, and remain faithful to death. What a joy to be numbered among the saints. Surely the sufferings of the present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us, Romans 8 and verse 18.
Now, you mentioned something there that you were reading that's always intrigued me, and I mean, you don't have to explain it today, but I was just wondering if it's in the book. Do you explain things like the mark of the beast in your book?
Yes.
Well, good. I'm sure that would interest people because I've always read about that, and you read all these things and they scare you to death.
Oh, yes. And a lot of people, Ernestine, have thought that the book says things that it doesn't say. And I'll just give you one that you can think about. People will think I'm crazy when I make mention of this. You've heard of the Battle of Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
You read about that in the book of Revelation. No, you don't. It's not in the book of Revelation. Now that's already got your attention, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The expression is not in the book of Revelation. Armageddon is mentioned in Revelation, and a battle is mentioned, but there's nothing said about the Battle of Armageddon. Now I hope that will get some people's attention because
It should.
the Bible just doesn't say anything about it. Now the first time I had that suggested to me, I thought the person was crazy. I went and read the passage, and I said, well, there it is. It says it right there. And I went back and read what the person said, and he says, no, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. I went and read it again. I said, it does say it. But after I read it enough times, I saw that I was just thinking it was saying that. It doesn't say that at all.
Where is this mentioned in the book of Revelation?
It's found in the 16th chapter of the book of Revelation. I don't remember the exact verse, but I can find it in my Bible if you insist.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering when the show was over, I'll look it up.
Good.
I'll find out for myself, which is what we all should do with anything in the Bible.
Exactly.
But it's good to have someone like you who's had a lot of experience in studying the Bible, and especially something so difficult as the book of Revelation, to write something to help those of us who are a little less learned on the subject.
Well, I think that there are some things that people need to understand about the book. In the first place, it is written in difficult language. It is symbolic language. But John tries to help us. He tells us at least 3 dozen times, actually more than that, what some of those symbols are, what they mean. If we listen to what John says, he'll help us. I liken it this way, that it's like a large picture puzzle. You make your picture puzzle easy by putting your easy pieces in first, the border pieces. And then you look for the colors that match easiest along the way. And that's the way it is with the book of Revelation. John gives you the pieces. And if we understand and will accept what he says some things are, everything else has to hitch to those posts. And once you have done that, you're able then to get the whole picture.
Well, now that you've probably caught some people's interest, can the audience and can I purchase this book?
Oh yes. Would be glad for you to purchase it. I guess you want me to tell how.
Yeah.
Okay. The price of the book, the commentary, is $17.95. They can order that from Ogden Publications. That's 212 Cherokee Trail, Somerset, Kentucky. That's 42501. Again, that's Ogden Publications, 212 Cherokee Trail, Somerset, Kentucky, 42501. The price is $17.95 plus 10% for postage. Or if you want to, you can have them to order it from you.
Okay. Okay. Now, if they order it from you, do they need to send a check in advance? Or do they just need to write you and ask and you'll...
Yes, it would be best if they sent the check in
send
advance.
the check in advance. Made out to...
I made out to Ogden Publications.
Okay, okay. Now, if they want to buy the workbook to go with it, how much is it?
The workbook is $3.95, and I've been told that this book should sell for $6.95. But I'm not trying to make money. I'm just trying to get the message out there and to help in the study of the book. And so we're selling this book for only $3.95, and it is ordered, of course, the same way.
Okay, so and 10% for postage free.
Yes.
Okay, $3.95 for the workbook, and what was it?
$17.95 for the commentary.
For the commentary. 10% postage to Ogden Publications.
212 Cherokee Trail, Somerset, Kentucky, 42501.
Okay. If anybody's interested, which I am, I want to get a copy of that, as I've already told you before, of course. So if anybody's interested, just either order it from Art Ogden or from Somerset, or you can contact me. And my phone number is 478-9712 if you want to order it through me. Because I'm going to be ordering some, and so I could go ahead and order it for anybody who's interested. Just let me know. Or you could write to me at Writers Reading, P.O. Box 543, Betsy Lane, Kentucky, 41605. Well, Art, this has been very interesting.
Well, I've enjoyed being here, Ernestine, and I appreciate so much being asked to be on your program.
Well, I hope maybe sometime you can come back again.
Well, thank you. I would like that.
Maybe you'll have another book, or maybe the next time you come, you'll have a book with you.
Believe me, I usually have them with me. It's just, I just don't know how this happened, really, but I usually have them, and this time I just, as we sometimes say, we goofed.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I hope y'all have enjoyed the show, and I want to thank Arthur Ogden for being on the show today. And I also want to thank Dr. Don and WPRG for allowing us to come to you. And until next time, may God bless you.